While Stockholm is far from the largest European city, it's often known as the world's smallest big city. Well, wait a second. What does that even mean? I have heard that Stockholm is famous for its unusual and flamboyant culture, but why is it called world's smallest big city? To find out, I took a 16-hour ferry from Tallinn, Estonia to Stockholm, Sweden over the Baltic Sea. I would describe this ferry service as a passenger cruise you can use as an alternative to flying. As I get ready to sail through the Baltic Sea, there is so much to do in this well-managed and well-run ferry service. There is an activity for everyone. If you like to shop, you can walk around the ship and enjoy duty-free shopping. From outside the porch, you can soak in the fantastic views, or just lounge at the bar and have some drinks. There's a kids area for kids to do their own thing, and there's also a casino and a gaming area for us grown-up kids. And last but not least, you can't miss listening to this live music. It is soul vitalizing.
And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you will know. What's that you say? Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray.
After a fantastic fun night on the cruise, I woke up to find myself sailing toward Stockholm through the archipelago of islands. I feel like my friends would be reluctant to invest in a more extended cruise. This trip allows a pleasant bite-sized cruise experience overnight. Welcome to Stockholm. So we're gonna take the bus number 76, the local bus. Let's go check it out. After taking the famous bus number 76, we took a train from Ropsten to Slussen. The metro system in Stockholm is straightforward because you can directly use your credit card to enter the station without needing to buy a ticket.
Stockholm has a lot of similarities with London, looks like, at least in the way the systems work and the technology that's used.
On the first day in Stockholm, later I decided to go out for a walk. I saw a few monuments and some beautiful architecture. I kept wondering, why is it called the world's smallest big city? To me, all the shopping, the restaurants, museums, Stockholm was giving me a big city vibe. I ended the night admiring the lake MALAREN that sends the water gushing down the Baltic Sea. I was full of energy when I woke up the next day. I was surely going to get some answers while I soaked in this beautiful experience of a getaway in Stockholm for the first time in my life. Hey guys, good morning. Today is my first full day here in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm really excited to explore this beautiful city. I'm gonna begin my tour with the old town, and then I'll maybe try to look for some historic old town walk. There's the palace, which is very important, and there are a few other places that are really amazing here. Let's go check out the old town tour. As I walk outside the hotel, I cross over the bridge to get to this vast waterfront and harbor displaying several architectural marvels. I could see the National Museum and a few other monuments across the lake. So welcome to the Lake Mälaren. That is the lake behind me. This is one of the key lakes in Sweden that passes through Stockholm and goes to the Baltic Sea. This is the beginning of the old town, and this place is also called Gamla Stan. Gamla Stan is home to the medieval Stortorget Cathedral and the Royal Palace, the king's official residence. This was also my next stop. So now we're headed to the Royal Palace, and we're hoping to catch that parade at 12 o'clock because it's free and it's really fun. If I can capture that, that'll be awesome. Looks like this is the Royal Palace. There's some construction going on, looks like. Yes. Hey guys, so I'm here in Royal Palace in Stockholm, and they're doing their official parade. The royal guards have guarded the palace and the royal family since 1523. In the summer, twice every day, a ceremony of changing of the guards takes place. It lasts about 40 minutes and is quite a show. The foot parade departs from the Army Museum and proceeds to do more marching inside the royal palace. We're gonna go to this walking tour, which starts at 1 o'clock. At this walking tour, we're gonna be meeting the guide at Gamla Stan station, which is about 7 minutes. We're gonna walk that way, and on the way, we're also going to see the Nobel Prize Museum. Next, we decided to take a free walking tour of the old town that started at the Gamla Stan station. The bustling compact island of Gamla Stan is the city's old town. This small island's population is only 3,000 and is located between two bodies of water. Believe it or not, Old Town is where Stockholm began. Alright guys, so behind me you see the free walking tour group, and this is who we're going to be going with and taking a stroll around the old town here in the city of Stockholm, Sweden.
Wooden log in Swedish means stock, and little island means holm. So that is where we get the name Stockholm from. Very creative.
Stockholm. Founded in 1252, it became the capital of Sweden after 400 years in 1634. We went underneath the tunnel walking towards this islet where no one lives now. It is called Riddarholmen Kyrkan. Kyrkan in Swedish means church.
So we are now on the second island of Old Town. So this is called Riddarholmen.
Riddarholmen Church is one of the oldest buildings in Stockholm. Parts date to the late 13th century when it was built as a Greyfriars monastery. After the Protestant Reformation, the monastery was closed and the building became a Lutheran church. The church serves as the final resting place for most of the Swedish monarchs.
By hanging or decapitation was the two most common forms of execution. And of course, people chose to become the city executioner some of the time. But those who did choose to become the new city executioner did sometimes try to flee the city.
The Priest Street, home to the rune stone, believed to date back to 1000s, being about 200 years older than the city. Our guide told us how the execution was widespread back then, and the city executioners would live here on this street right next to the priest. They had the worst possible job. Europe in 1500s was really crazy. Next, as we continue our walking tour of this old town, I was getting that small city vibe. We were walking the neighborhoods where the sewer system would date back to the 15th century.
So during the medieval times, how people would get rid of their waste when they would do their businesses on their chamber pots would be through these pipes that would run up the entirety of the building with a chute on every floor where people could discard of their waste and trash.
The alley of Marten Trotzigs is the narrowest street in Stockholm, a mere 35 inches wide. The alley is named after Marten Trotzig, who lived between 1559 and 1617, who became one of the Stockholm's wealthiest merchants. Unfortunately, being rich was not enough to protect him from being beaten to death. This alley consists of 36 steps which get narrower and narrower as they lead to the top of the alley. We are walking through the narrowest street, or the narrowest street of all of Europe. As we walked along, we saw the beautiful view of the most famous church, the Stortorget. We then walked back to the royal palace.
We are now by the royal palace. So what do you guys think? Do you like it? You like it? Good, good. Some people think it looks like a shoebox. So this is actually the largest palace in the world. This is the official residency of the royal family, but they don't actually live here anymore. This is not the first palace to be on this location. This is actually the second one. The first one burned down in 1697, and that is because there was a chimney that collapsed on the fireplace, and it was a very windy day, so the fire spread very quickly to the rest of the palace complex, and the entire palace complex was burned down within 2 hours.
Royal Palace, built in Baroque style in the 18th century, is also known as the Stockholm Palace and is the Swedish monarch's official residence and central royal palace. Stockholm Palace has the offices of the king, the other members of the Swedish royal family, and the royal court of Sweden. The palace's interior comprises of 1,430 rooms, of which 660 have windows. A comprehensive renovation of the facade began in 2011 to repair weather-damaged parts made from sandstone. The repairs are estimated to cost approximately $77 million and will be completed by 2033. I'm here at this very famous square. This is a square that is very renowned in lots of medieval history, and some of that history is not so fun. Stortorget, a few minutes walk from the royal palace, was the most Instagram-worthy spot in the entire city. Stortorget, or Big Square, is the oldest square in Stockholm. It is lined by beautiful buildings and houses dating back to the 17th and 18th century, once owned by wealthy merchants. One of the best things to do in Gamla Stan is to sit in the Stortorget Square and enjoy people watching. The beautiful fountain, the cafes around the square, and the benches invite you to plop yourself down and soak up the atmosphere. On this side, the museum, this is the Nobel Prize Museum because it's an important aspect for Sweden for a very long time, and they read a lot. So this is a museum where they choose who gets the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize Museum is located in the former Stock Exchange building on the square's north side. The Nobel Prize Museum showcases information about the Nobel Prize and the prize winners, as well as information about the founder of the prize, Alfred Nobel. And the museum's permanent display includes many artifacts donated by Nobel laureates, presented together with personal life stories. This is the fountain that is actually a live fountain. And this is also from back in the day, really, really old. And I think the story is that this fountain was filled with water, with blood, and then the blood was, in 1520 when the bloodbath happened, that's also something that was happening. Stockholm bloodbath was a trial that led to a series of executions in Stockholm in 1520. The event is also known as the Stockholm Massacre. The events occurred when the guests were invited to a meeting at the castle by Archbishop Gustav Trolle demanding economic compensation. Nearly 100 people were executed in the days following the meeting despite promises of amnesty. Among those killed were many people from the aristocracy who had supported the party in the previous years. After this bloodbath, King Christian II became known as the Christian the Tyrant in Sweden. Hey guys, so now we're wrapping up our day tour here in Stockholm. After the walking tour, I walked back to my hotel and decided to rest before going out at night. On Saturday night, and it's still not very dark. So that's one thing about the countries here, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, that the sun doesn't set. It's the Scandinavian countries. I then walked to this enormous square called Medborgarplatsen, or in short, Medis. It is a large square and subway station. It is located in Stortorget district in the inner city. This is a lively amusement square with many outdoor restaurants in the summer and ice rink in the winter. There are so many places to eat around here, and the place was buzzing. Next, I went to a different neighborhood to meet some friends. We enjoyed the nightlife, and everyone later returned to my room and we hung out all night. It was so much fun.
right now I have checked out of the hotel. It's about 12:30, and also get something to eat and maybe see a couple more places before it's time for us to check in to the Viking cruise going to Helsinki from this beautiful city of Stockholm. Love the stay. Right now it's 65 degrees.
Day 3 was my final day in Stockholm. I was starting to see why it was called the world's smallest big city. But before I concluded, I wanted to visit 2 more places. One was a flea market, and the second was a beautiful cemetery cum church. Overall, it was a fun trip. I also learned 2 valuable lessons from last night.
So an important thing when you come to Sweden, you gotta make sure that you make reservations for any of the clubs that you wanna go out to. Second important fact, you make sure you stock up on the alcohol during the week, because weekends, you cannot buy real alcohol.
As I boarded the ferry from Stockholm to Helsinki, I checked into my room and started to unpack. I then took a walk outside as we were beginning to leave this beautiful city. I think I had the answer then. In my humble opinion, and based on my limited research, here's what we know. Stockholm is not a very large city. It is referred to as the Scandinavian capital. It has a wide range of cultural activities on offer. It has a small town feel. It has world-class amenities. It has the best shopping, museums, and restaurants around the world. The fact that you can visit one of the suburbs and feel as if you're in a small town, and then hop on a metro and be in the center of a buzzing metropolis, all within 15 minutes, Stockholm is truly the world's smallest big city. In my next video, join me for a road trip to Iceland. I will begin my journey from Reykjavik and visit some of the most beautiful scenery that I've seen in the entire world. I will explore everything from waterfalls to geysers, ice caves to glaciers, black sandy beaches to whale watching in the northern Iceland. All of this while camping in a tent, cooking our own food, and splitting the cost with another solo traveler. If you're still here, many thanks. My guess is that you're already a subscriber.